And we're back. Welcome. Oh no, I stole Scuddy for Mike's opener. We're back. Um, this is the Moose Show. You're back on. Welcome in to. Thanks, guys. It has been quite a year, 2024. Welcome back to This Is Dunder Moose. I've got with me the inimitable BDubs making another appearance on this show, and this is going to be kind of a wistful, thoughtful, introspective, and forward viewing episode tonight. This will be a special one. Feel free to list stuff in the chat if we miss it, but we're going to kind of go over some of the highlights from the last year that we just completed. What was the BROSR up to? What did we do? What did we figure out? What were we experimenting with? What were some of the highlights? And then kind of where are we at right now? And what's next? What's that NXT future that we're looking for? So welcome back to BDubs. The Tribal Counsel, not council as in like where you get voted off the island, but council as in like counselor, to the BROSR. Welcome back on the show, man. How were your holidays?
I was muted.
Muted. I thought you were just like doing the dramatic pause.
I did have a dramatic pause, but it was too long because I was doing a promo to myself. Finally, BDubs1776 has returned to the Dunder Riz podcast. It's a new podcast full of Riz and handlebar mustaches.
You noticed that, did you, huh?
You can't not notice it, my friend. It can't not be noticed. It can't. It's as noticeable as the fact that we're running a little late, and that I muted my own mic like I did over on Nerd Cognito. I'm bringing that Nerd Cognito power to you by muting my own mic while I'm talking.
I don't know if I need any of that.
You do, because it was a powerful podcast. That was part of one of the great things that happened in 2020.
That was a good show.
Yeah. But we can speak on that and everything else. My holidays went fantastic. I'm very blessed with all the things I have. This is a professional operation, as Alchemic Breaker says. It's professionally very, very professional. So
yes,
we're doing great things here, and we're happy for the 4 people that tuned in to this last second
welcome back
advertisement of this podcast.
Welcome back, 4 people. So you had a good holiday.
I did indeed. It was good stuff. It was nice.
Awesome.
Very, very, very blessed. Went to mass a couple times. We had a holy day of obligation today for Mary Solemnity. So it's been a very good thing. I hope everyone else got some time with family and church and had a very happy new year and go into 2025 strong.
Right on. So church was awesome this year for me. Family was awesome, except Christmas Day we all got hit with a stomach flu, and it was rough. The whole Moose household everything was coming out of everywhere. It was pretty rough. So that's kind of why I'm so discombobulated with the tech and trying to put my computer back together, and why we're a little bit late, but we got there. Everybody's well now. Thanks for those that saw my shout out on X and were praying for us. But yeah, not gonna lie, man, it was rough. I had a lot of plans, things I wanted to accomplish with the time away from work, and none of that went down. But able to worship my Lord and Savior at the time of his birth, able to gather with those of like precious faith and sing hymns, and one of them probably got me, but it was a great time of year, except for that one little bit. I have a whole shelf of these just amazing RPGs and adventures and materials, and I thought, well, at least I can take some solace in reading those, and I just no motivation. I even put on an audiobook. Jeffro's been talking about The Charwoman's Daughter by Lord Dunsany, and I listened to a couple paragraphs and then just paused it. I don't know how you do sick, man. I don't know if you're like one of those tough guys that like doesn't want to admit that you're sick and just power. That's how my wife is. She just wants to power through it. I am like a pill bug. I will just roll up and suffer until it's over. So
I've been there, and as a family man, I can tell you the household getting sick is one of the biggest challenges as a family man of a normal thing that you will see. So it is not fun. We're glad you're through it.
Thanks, man.
I will admit that I forgot about that when I said, "Hey, you should have me on." So my bad. So my bad about that.
No
It
worries,
occurred to
man.
me
No.
that you could still be powering through that. Maybe that's why you're late. Maybe there's still some people in your household that are kind of
Oh no.
still
I
bugging
was late
around.
because I was playing a board game with the family, and we had to finish. So
Well, yes, you had to put the smackdown on them and show them
yeah, well,
how
you've
how it
gotta
was.
maintain that paterfamilias status. But so I'm looking back. I'm looking at my videos over the year. Maybe I should share this. I'm gonna click on this guy.
Let's do it. Let's see what you
And
did this year, and I will give critique
all
of
right.
the videos that I'm aware of.
So as you guys see, if we go back a year, like a year ago, I had you on for the first time, objectively correct gameplay with BDubs. Um, and then 11 months ago, we did our after action report for the first battle Bronstein. This took place in Trilopolis, and it was, if I correct me if I get any of this wrong, but let me see if I can sum up the state of the BROSR heading into 2024. At the end of 2023, we had done amazing things, stuff that nobody's done, stuff that I've never heard of, right? Like, well, and all of the stuff with Stormbringer and jumping from one table to another, and how you guys discovered that because of one-to-one time, Trilopulus and Dubseron could be connected in powerful and dangerous ways, right? And that led to the whole the war for Stormbringer hitting the sun in Dubseron. What was the name of the sun? Um,
That's Almanar. That's from the amazing Arn Empire setting from
yes,
the Acts 2, the Scooty winner this year.
the Golden Scooty winner. Yes,
Scooty,
you guys got to watch that if you haven't seen the Golden Scooties.
the Golden Scooty winner this year, Acts 2, which I agree with. It's a great system.
It was, yeah, those I agree with all of the decisions there. So we had cross table like Marvel versus DC kind of action going on in the BROSR, and that leads to um this always on patron play style that led into Brovenloft, which this is when I was first kind of becoming aware of the BROSR. Just what are you guys up to? What are you doing? And we had a month long always on Bronstein that just sounded like it was amazing, and it burned people out, and then so that was kind of the gold standard. That's what everyone was hoping to achieve again and again. And the problem with, and this is this, if you guys read Brosar, this is the type 3, I believe, the type 3 Bronstein, where it's like just everybody all the time going nuts in an ongoing campaign. And that started to show some signs of wear, right? Like there was some struggle there because it was eating DMs. It was unbalancing the game, and we couldn't put our finger on it at the time, but we didn't know. The players were going nuts for it. The players thought it was so much fun, but there was something that wasn't right. And so Battle Bronstein was Jeffro going back to the first one, and that's why we called it that, by the way. We're not trying to steal anything or take any shade from Major Wesley. It was because it was his idea. We looked at the Bronstein that was run as viewed in Secrets of Blackmoor, which you guys should definitely watch if you haven't. I'm pretty sure everyone watching this right now is already up on that. But it was like, you know what? This thing was a one night. It was a party game. It was diplomacy. So Jeffro was like, let's get everybody that wants to come. We'll give them a faction. Most of them were ongoing factions from the ongoing game, but there was a couple, the orcs being one where he was like, he just whipped up something and said, here you go. And we ran it in one night, and it was amazing, and it was hilarious, and it was a lot of fun. And so as we go forward, I had a couple other guests. I had Brigadine. You came back on to talk about one-to-one time and receipts, and we heard about Brovenloft. We heard about the making what is it? Make Adventuring Great Again, the Vomitron campaign. And then, of course, Harmony Ginger showed up with her Godstein and just kind of blew the lid off of everything. because that's how she started her campaign. So those are some of the things I look back. But one of my favorite episodes was with you and Bob Stevens when we did we rated, right? Because when you came on, you did something that had huge repercussions, and I'm really proud that it came on this channel. You issued a challenge to everyone in the BROSR. Do you remember what that challenge was?
Yeah, it was offhand. We were just kind of cutting up, having some fun, like we're doing now. Like probably you did in the mirror with your handlebar mustache, where you didn't really take it seriously, and for some reason you
Oh,
decided to put it in front of the world on a podcast. That the
yeah.
internet never forgets, my friend. The internet is going to have that
Well,
handlebar mustache forever on like a GIF with you like flopping it
yeah,
around.
the servants that are responsible for the mustache had already invoiced me, so I might as well.
It's a fact. But I was on there and I just said, hey, this Bronstein stuff, it's game changing. It's another level.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had run 1. I've now run 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, y'all need to do this. What's up? So I gave a deadline. And I said, do it, or you can't use the hashtag BROSR. You can't do it. You can't use it. You're not a bro. You're not in the BROSR. You're not official. You're lame. You're outside the box. You're on the other side of the gate, because we will gatekeep you. Because I get to decide. On Nerd Cognito, he let me know the Jeffro's out and I'm in. Apparently, I'm the leader of the BROSR now, because Jeffro is persona non grata because he is mean. I don't know. He's mean.
I don't know what he's
mean.
I don't know what he did to deserve that, but he's gone. You are now the 4th most important person in
I
Unity.
am. It is me. It is Arneson, Gygax, Moose, and then me. That's what the list is. That's what the list is of the important people. He's still sick, people.
No, I'm just a dude with a great mustache, man. Don't put me on that pedestal.
He's on the pedestal with the mustache. But so I put out the challenge and people took it up. And so we had to come back with Robert the Heel Stevens. I don't know who Jeffro is, Alchemic Raker. I forgot the name. I was told that I should denounce him. I should say he's got to be out of here. So if y'all haven't listened to my showing on Nerd Cognito, I'd recommend it, because it was really funny seeing him try to get me to talk bad about a friend. I think that people that want you to talk bad about a friend publicly, they have some issues they need to resolve, because I'm not going to talk smack about my friend in public.
Right on. So he's done some other things that have led me to believe he might be a less than trustworthy individual.
Look,
however,
I love Ryan David. He's my best new pal after Jeffro. It's Jeffro and then Ryan David.
Oh, man.
Then the Dunder Riz. You're third, my friend. You're the third most important friend.
So Jeffro was just losing everything. First you take the BROSR, and then you take away Ryan David, his best friend, from him.
Can't be helped. Can't be helped.
Wow.
I won't announce him, but I will take everything he has.
So it was you and I just joking around, and you were like, all right, guys, this is on the line. We don't want you to let us have all the fun. We want you to try this for yourselves and see if it works. See if we're full of crap, or if there really is something to this. And the people responded. They said, heck yeah, I'm going to do it. And so we had enough that we got to, you and me and Bob Stevens got to rate the Bronsteins that resulted from that. Were you surprised to see, after just kind of like making this offhand comment challenge, were you surprised to see how the community rose up to not just have these things, but blog the receipts and talk about them and stuff? Or were you like, no, this is about what I expected?
I'm Booker Dubs, so I knew that they would jump to the occasion of wanting to run one of these things. I didn't expect them to be so good. I'm impressed by the high ratings that most of these Bronsteins got. So that was the main thing. I think every Bronstein I read about blogs and stuff, they all sounded really fantastic. 483 views. Some of y'all need to get back in there and listen to that one. There's some good stuff in there. You can skip through Robert the Heel drinking the shoey if it disgusts you. I think that's why that has a low viewership. So just go and power through that part. You can fast forward. But the ratings and stuff are great. Moose was on his game. on hosting, and
I had a really technical thing I had to push a lot of buttons on, but yeah, it was fun. The shoey was hilarious. That was a Dunder Moose first. We've never had anyone imbibe a beverage out of footwear on that. We do have a question in the chat from Tag. He says, I thought Moose was supposed to be selling out. Where's my button to super chat and spend monies? Y'all are bad at this conversion to capital after fame thing. Thanks for pointing that out, Tag. And yes, I have reached a new level. Maybe that's something we can talk about for like the future. But I am over 500 subscribers, y'all. And supposedly that will allow me to monetize and make some moolah off this thing. The only problem is I need to figure out all the settings and stuff I have to switch on to make that.
He's had a stomach flu, guys. He hasn't hit the buttons on that. But look, y'all can just send the money to me directly.
That's right.
I'll make sure Moose gets his cut because I think I'm the one responsible for the growth.
Seriously,
I brought it to him this year in 2024. So
if it was just me talking, there's no way that we'd have the numbers that we do. I always think that's weird when like someone's a guest on an interview podcast and then they get super chat money and it's like, shouldn't you be splitting that? I don't know. I got to figure out a way to do that now that I've set that standard for myself. I got to figure out how to have the
cash. If you get super chat money when I'm on, you can have it all. I'm very giving, especially in 2025.
Oh man, what a guy!
New year, I'm going to be very giving. I am looking into giving back to the tabletop RPG community online. I've started a new division where I'm training the young talent that's coming up. We'll talk about that later, but it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
BroXT is growing, and you guys are going to be very impressed by it in 2025. I think they're going to be the future of the hobby, of the clubhouse, as Brad
right on
says.
But that evolution, Bronstein, what's wrong with your favorite battle, Bronstein, where we judge them and stuff, like there were some just amazing people that fell into the spotlight because of that, right? Like Scudder for Mike, like Night Danger, Harmony Ginger, everyone already knew who she was. She'd already blown up, but like people that had taken these ideas and were just running with them and getting the kind of results like the bros had seen. Just on their own in the woods of Canada. But the next episode was the biggest one for my channel. And it was you and it was Jeffro. And it was, why are RPGs fake, broken, and dumb? I'm sorry, why RPGs are fake, broken, and dumb. And I mean, of course, that's kind of a clickbait title, right? Like, very provocative stuff, but like this one, if you guys haven't seen this, you need to watch it. It's almost 2,000 views. Yeah, that's Hansford pointing out that's where the soup aisle comment dropped. Another just off the cuff BDubs thing that like becomes part of the zeitgeist, right? Like that's like entered the vocabulary.
It's unbelievable. My online existence is the zeitgeist. It's too much that I said soup aisle, and now it's like I do believe I'm gonna hear it in a wrestling promo at some point on Netflix.
My gosh.
I think it's gonna happen, dude. I think it's gonna happen. I don't. We were on there, me and Jeffro. Jeffro and I knew that he was discovering big things. We knew that the Traveler Stein that he did in the summer was a big deal. But let's back up a little bit. The Bronsteins and the Summer of Stein was a big deal. I think that's probably the biggest thing that happened in 2024 that really kind of changed the game on the discussion about D&D online. Among our group, certainly, but I do believe it's making waves outside of the BROSR, outside of our kind of small sphere of influence. I think we're going to get there. I think WotC is exploring this Bastion stuff and domains and stuff, and it's going to be a weak, lame version of what we're dealing with. But I think even they can't avoid the fact that people are interested in having domains, people are interested in having armies for their PCs and these D&D games. I think that's something that just can't be ignored. Yeah. And I think Act 2's success and all the buzz around Act 2 and its Golden Scooty and all that, I think that's just par for the course, that people want to be able to level up and not just go back to the dungeon like they're playing Diablo,
Yeah.
where it's just like, oh, I'm a level 1 million, or my kids right now are playing Minecraft Dungeons these days. They're like level 93. I jump in, they're like, hey, Pops, you should just jump in. I'm like, I'm level 10. I get one shotted by like a zombie when we go into one of their dungeons. So, but you can't just go back to the dungeon when you're like level 1 million, right? You want to like have a domain, you want to have an army, you want to have something going on. So
Yeah.
I feel like our work with the Battle Bronstein, which is now kind of just the Session Bronstein in conversation, that was a big deal. And I feel like we did a good job of highlighting that with Robert the Heel and rating them, which was kind of a gag. It was just like a gimmick to kind of like, let's talk about these. That was the big thing. Rating them was whatever. We love all of them. We thought you all did a great job.
Did you get anybody contacting you like, why did you rate me so low? I should have won.
I did, but I've forgotten who, because who cares, honestly. Who's mad about what? If I had to worry about what online weirdo is mad at me in any given minute, I would never get any sleep. But but then bringing it back with Jeffro, he was coming around to the Traveler Stein stuff, which was the total nonstop Bronstein.
Yeah.
And he was running Traveler with this stuff instead of D&D, instead of fantasy. He was doing with sci-fi, and he was starting to explore what it could mean. And then I was starting to explore. Jeffro made a blog post about, here's the game world I'd run based on these random things I rolled on the Traveler book. And then I pretended like, okay, if I had a patron or character in this game, this is how I'd run it.
Yeah.
Nonstop Bronstein. And we just realized we were kind of going down the same road. We were kind of dovetailing to the same ideas. And that's when we asked you if you could have us both on. And the rest is history in the soup pile, my friend. It looks like Bradford Walker has a question or comment.
Yeah, Bradford says the Bronstein thing is what blew the lid on the hobby in tabletop, turning the Get Along Gang into one mode out of a much larger game. And so one of the things I want to point out, it was another BDubs comment in that episode that kind of pushed it even farther, because Jeffro was experimenting with this stuff. He was trying to solve the problem that we were having in what now has become known as the Method 3 Bronstein, of just making it harder on DMs instead of easier. Doing it, even though the players were getting excited, it was becoming more work and less fun. And so he was playing with these ideas, but you were the one that kind of pushed it to the limit, right? Like he was like, Bronstein could be good for your game, and you were like, total nonstop Bronstein. Like even to the point where Jeffro was kind of like, well, wait a minute, let's not get over our skis here, right? So do you want to talk about how that conversation kind of happened in the back channels, and what was it about it that you were like, let's just push as hard as we can for this, instead of just saying it's one more tool in the belt?
It's not one more tool in the belt. It's a new thing. I came on this podcast and talked about where my dad DM'd a campaign about 15 years ago in 3rd edition. And his was political. It was based on the quagmire in Iraq at the time. And he just did like a what if this fantasy group went into this kind of Arab type place, and it was trying to like hold the line there and stuff. And we did all kinds of stuff where the PCs like had different stuff. There was one guy who was on the side of the locals. There was one guy who was against them, and there was me. I was in the middle as like a thief just trying to make money. And we ran that about 10 sessions. And so when this Bronstein stuff started, I looked back. I was like, man, that wasn't our intention to run that as PvP, but we knew there would be some contention about like this PC probably wouldn't like this one. Would they find common ground, or would they just fight? Would there be a war?
Yeah.
And we just had a lot of fun with that for about 10 sessions. And and I just started thinking like, there's no reason that couldn't have just kept going. Like if someone loses and dies, like there's no reason they can't.
Yeah.
They can't re-roll a new character, or they can't just bop out and then the game goes back down to a lower level and we return to the adventurers as opposed to the leaders of the town or whatever, and we just have some adventurers doing some dungeon delving for the leaders or so. Like I started thinking like, there's more here. There's more to play with here in what we were doing back then, which wasn't necessarily the goal. The goal was more to see like what happened with these characters that we love so much if they had like power and influence. That was kind of what we were doing back then. And so when Jeffro started doing the session Bronstein, I was like, man, let's this could be done every session, and you could build a campaign on that.
Every session in Bronstein.
Yeah, there's been some pushback on that, from some ankle biters and some people within the BROSR with a little bit less vision than me, a little bit less boldness than Jeffro, and shorter mustaches than yourself.
Yes.
And so that's happened, but it's okay. We still love those guys. I mean,
yeah,
they're not in the Bro XT, but we do love them. We're still gonna back them up in the main event picture if they have big things to do, because most of them have run Bronsteins, and they at least know of what they speak. They're not just talking out of the side of their mouth like a lot of our OSR critics.
So Heffelfinger has a comment. It's not just you don't want to get burnout. It's you don't want to get bro-oriental.
Look,
right?
Look, I love the Curator. Okay? Curator's a great guy. He was on the timeline the last couple days, sticking up for the BROSR and our ideas.
Right on.
He said, I don't have to like these guys. I like their ideas. Against some ankle biter who was with like 5 followers who was trying to get at me. So, you know what, Curator? You do love us. You love us. It's the first step to loving the bros is to love our ideas. It comes around. It goes around. It's okay, Curator. Look, you had a little trouble with Boreal Ventures. Every one of the bros who has DM'd a game has had some trouble. We've all had our problems. We've all annoyed one of our friends. We've all had like a rage quit. We've all wondered if it was all worth it. Is it worth it to push Raw, to push these game concepts, to push Bronsteins with players who don't like PvP, who just want to LARP, who just want to rule 0? And I think he ran headfirst in that with Boreal Ventures. And he's going to come back around and he's going to love us. I think he's going to join the bros again. He's going to be one of those success stories. He's going to be one of those stories where a guy washes out of Bro XT, goes to the Indies, and comes back straight to the main event. Look, that's what Cody Rhodes did, my friend. So, Curator, you could be the Cody Rhodes of the BROSR. I'm open to the possibility, my friend.
Right on. So as you said, Jeffro, our very next episode was talking about Moonstein, and man, what a blast that was. And then after that, I had Jeffro and Gabe, who's represented. Gabe and Contorted Trash wrote an essay in BROSR, which we can leave that till just a little bit later. But like you see, I mean, it's just crazy looking back on all these videos, seeing all the pieces come together. And I don't know how, but I am thrilled that I was able to kind of be a part of that journey and like have my thumb on the pulse for a minute. You see the random table started up, Harmony Ginger's show, where she and Scudder Mike and Night Danger and I come on and talk about topics. That kicked off. Then we had Gangbusters with Fluid the Druid. Brian Renninger ran an original Gangbusters Bronstein. That was a blast. And then I had Griff Morgan come back on. Called it Don't Call It a Bronstein. And I was like, all right, man, have your say. You see what we've been doing. You're working with Wesley. I believe this is the year that they will codify his Bronstein game. Sorry, his Bronstein game that he runs at the cons, the original Bronstein. I believe that's coming out this year. But I feel like that episode also was a catalyst for some things. Right, like he was. I mean, the guy's got a sense of humor, but the bros have a love-hate relationship with Griff in that we love him and he hates us. But fair? Would you say that's fair to say?
I love Griff Morgan.
I think he's great. He thinks we're all jackasses, and he makes no bones about that. But it's like, here's the thing: you come on the show, I'm gonna let you have your say. And,
that's fair. That's fair, my friend. That's why you were the foremost journalist of the BROSR in our tiny little baby step side of the hobby. This little corner of the hobby that is somehow changing what the conglomerate of Wizards of the Coast is doing.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's happening. But Griff Morgan, I'd love I love you, Griff Morgan. I'm like,
I need to have you both on the show at the same time. That would be hilarious.
look, he doesn't know who I am.
He blocked you on site because you had the BROSR hashtag.
he's blocked me, so he doesn't know all the fantastic stuff I've been saying about him and how much I love him. It reminds me of what's going on with WWE right now. And it's just like Jacob Fatu, and he just says like, "I love you, Solo," like the guy who's in charge of his group. I love you, Griff Morgan. I love you. I love the guy. I don't get the hate for Griff. I get that he can come off maybe a little nerdy or something, but I mean, we all come off a little nerdy sometimes in this type of hobby. So I don't know, man. I don't know what he dislikes about our approach to this stuff. I didn't really get his point. I listened to that episode. I'm one of the 800 and something followers listeners on that.
Yeah.
I don't really get what he was mad about. He didn't want us to use the word Bronstein. So we changed it to Bronstein. Look, Griff, we got your back. We just changed the word. It's fine.
And like he wasn't. I think though, just the word itself is what he has a problem with because in his mind it's a specific thing. He has no problem with like Shuck Stein or Gangbuster Stein, like using the Stein on the end. But like he's trying to do something with that exact word. So I'm hoping to have him on again soon. So his company, the Fellowship of the Thing, has just come out with a new adventure module called Into the Wild Blue Yonder, written by Rob Kuntz. So I'm hoping it works out. I can have both of them come on the channel, and we can talk about the adventure. We can talk about some of the old days at TSR and that kind of stuff. I'm really excited about that possibility. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I hope it will.
That would be amazing. I would be one of the 400 people that listen to that. That would be incredible. I'd love to come on and just do like just like a peanut gallery with them and just be like pick them apart on whatever they say about their module. Yeah. But I want to back up to some of the videos that you mentioned on your little history. And I like this. We did low prep, no prep on this because I just introduced this idea yesterday. I thought maybe you would maybe think of something we should talk about. You're the host, but that's fine. We can just go through pictures of your videos that people who are in the car can't hear tomorrow.
This is like a slideshow. How I spent 2024.
But you talked about the Gangbuster Stein.
Yeah.
You talked about Gabe and Trash at their conversation. I don't think I listened to that one, so I'm going to go back to that one tomorrow. But the Gangbuster Stein, I think, based on what I heard in the Gangbuster Stein, I think that may be one of the better systems designed for total nonstop Bronstein. I really do. It seems like it just has that in mind. The fact that you can run the stuff in Gangbusters without a judge, without a ref, and that's part of the design goal that they had.
Yeah.
I've not read it, but based on my listening to your podcast of it and kind of seeing the back channels of Brian Reninger and Fluid talking about that and stuff, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm probably going to take some of the lessons you guys learned from that and put into some of the Dubs stuff that I'm going to try next year for sure.
Right on. Well, I feel like, because I got some other buds, like we play on Monday nights. It's just two dudes that I've known since we were kids. And we've been playing a bunch of different, games. But whenever I'm trying to bring this stuff up, they're like, "Oh, Dunder, you always want the old stuff." Right? Because they're like 5th edition, they're like Dragon Bane, stuff like that. And I'm like, OE, 1st edition, Gangbusters. I just heard about a Bronstein. I did not take part in. I wanted to, but it was Boot Hill, which that was like my first experience with the BROSR. Was I got in on some Jeffro Johnson Boot Hill action back in the day. I rolled up a character. He immediately got killed the first time I played him. It was amazing. But I feel like how well the old games do this Bronstein thing kind of lends strength to the theory that this was a part of what was expected, and it's something that we've lost in the thinning down as the whole hobby focused on the get along gang, as the whole hobby focused on the story and everything that they mean when they say the story. The games got less and less able to support. Well, I can't say that because I feel like the battle Bronstein, the session Bronstein is, you can run it with anything, and you'll see as I scroll up, like the rest of my episodes, nobody sticks to the same system. It's just, it works everywhere. But there is something elegant about Gangbusters in that, you've got the gangs, you've got the newspapers, you've got the mayor and the police, and you've got Elliot Ness and the Untouchables and all of that stuff all going at the same time
It was
in a
exciting.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was exciting to hear on your podcast. Like, I couldn't do that when I was busy. And I had so much stuff going on in gaming. I'm like, dude, I can't take on another one. I don't know what's going on. So I didn't jump in.
That so many times.
Yeah, I didn't jump in on that one. So me listening to it, I'm like, this sounded just right, because
Yeah.
I think what it was good about it was that all the classes or whatever had their own sort of baked in, kind of like goal or whatever. Like the classes themselves had their goal.
Yeah, and like as the newspaper guy, I was just having fun going to each of them and like asking questions, trying to get information, promising information in return to get something from them, and watching the wheels turn as they were like, how can I use this guy to leak the kind of stuff that I want other people to know so they'll make the decisions I want them to make? You know what I mean? Like that was fun.
The fact that the game itself was designed with each class or faction or however you want to label it of like its own like win goal or whatever, win condition. Yeah. I think that was what made it so exciting to me about different ways to run these Bronsteins. Everything else can be ran that way, but you almost have to like in an existentialist way, like what is the reason for this class? What is the reason for this character I just created? Like almost like that. And I think Gangbusters was designed that way from the beginning. And I think it's very telling, and it fits into what Jeffrey was saying about RPGs are fake, broken, and dumb. It's like new ones ignore the fact that this was foundational to D&D, going back to D&D, because Gangbusters was released within a year or two of AD&D.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like right there, so it was right in the mix, and it's clearly a Bronstein game, and it doesn't make any sense to run Gangbusters based on what we've discovered any other way.
Yeah, like that was one of the things Brian pointed out, is like he got it for Christmas, he tried it, and it just didn't work.
You can't get along gang it. You can't do it. You can't get along gang the Pinkertons and the freaking mob. How are you gonna do that? Jeez, let's flip on Brian De Palma's Untouchables movie, and it's like, hey, what's going on, Al Capone? Not much. You want to go on an adventure together? It doesn't make any friggin' sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It's like Elliot Ness doing that speech to the recruit, or to his men when he first met him. He's like, I know some of you like to take a drink. I do too. Let's have some booze.
Let's do it. Drink up.
I got these mobsters. They got the good hooch.
Bottoms up.
We're gonna have a party.
I want to point out a comment in the chat from Gelatinous Rube, which is very pointed. It is BDubs. I love it. Love it, Rube. Welcome to the greatness. God bless you and yours. Happy Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year to everyone.
Right on. Rube's a good guy. He and I are kind of bouncing ideas off each other too for the future. I don't know if I want to bring that up yet till we're not solidified or not. But anyhow, the next one, Braunless Dicestein. This game was crazy. Polyphamous ran it. And he used the Amber Diceless rules to do his Bronstein. He did it in his ongoing campaign, and this was the first one where I got some of that feel of the stuff that I missed out on, because I had a character who was a wizard named Melicus, and it was kind of like there was like the ruler and then like all of his lieutenants, and then the ruler goes missing and there's a power vacuum, and now who's going to run this town tonight kind of vibe, right? And this was when I had like gotten overcommitted and I was like trying to do all the Steins. And I didn't keep up on it. And I finally checked the Discord and I was like, oh, they elected me king. I was like, well, that can't be good. Like, I haven't been playing. Everyone else was like, I don't know if it was that Dunder Riz Mystique. Everyone else like, whoa, what did he do to already make that happen? You know, I think somebody else just put a target on my back was all it was. But I basically had to throw everything on a risk on a meme that I brought into the game from Vance's or not, no, it was Zelazny's Nine Princes in Amber. And the DM and I were like, okay, well, if it comes down to it, your guy's going to try to walk the pattern and shadow step, but it only is going to work if he's of the blood of Amber. And so I don't know what the chances were. I don't know what the dice he rolled were, but basically my guy just barely made it. And I escaped into Starstein. And my wizard had a mission to go there, get in good with the Emperor, and try to bring a bunch of stormtroopers and spaceships back in to take over the city. So that like it gave me that taste of the world hopping, the table hopping that can happen between 1-to-1 campaigns, and I was like, man, this is incredible.
Yeah, no one knows what you're talking about, but you seem really excited about it. That's the thing that you have to understand, guys. The players of these games get really excited, really, really pumped up, and they sound like my kids talking about their new items in Minecraft Dungeons. I don't know what they're talking about. I can summon a golem. Pops. Okay, that's cool. It hits for 1 million and stuff. Shuey, Robert the Hill Stevens with the Shuey emoji.
With the Shuey.
Yeah, 2 emojis, which are clear. The beer
in the boot.
And the boot. Look, it's not sanitary.
The Bootstein.
Bootstein. It's not sanitary, but
Das Boot.
Based on his, but based on him on that show, he seems like he has other things he needs to work on as well as far as the sanitary.
You just need a high enough ABV to kill off the fungus, and I think you're good. Hey, Crafty Matt, welcome to the chat, bro.
Welcome, Matt. We're glad to have. What are we up to? 7 people now. I think someone made a comment that we're up to 4 cultists now. So this is not a cult, my friends. This is a brotherhood.
There's only a dozen of us, right?
There's the brotherhood and a clubhouse.
So then after that, I feel like you kind of put a stake in the ground with the next episode and just proved this stuff is so anti-fragile. You can run it with the hint of a system, right? Or the hint of an adventure. You did Shuck Stein before the Shucked Oyster was out. You did it with just what they had shared on the promo page on Kickstarter. You want to tell me about that? How did you get that idea?
Yeah, you wanted to have me on. Like, oh, you should come and talk about Shuck Stein. Like, I don't know. It was fun. No, it was great. The Shuck Stein was great. And like Gelatinous Rube just put into the chat, which you just shared on the video, which I'm speaking to those people that are driving. Don't look at your phones.
Don't look at them.
We want you to be our friends. We want you to be our brothers in arms forever. Don't look at your phones and get in a car wreck, my friend. Okay? It's not safe. Keep it. That's a public service announcement from me to you. And I got to say, I forgot to say this, but how good is it? How good does it feel to be alive on the Dunder Riz podcast in 2025?
Heck yeah.
Or what? Feels good.
It's good, man.
Really good. So I took the Shuck Stein. I made the Shuck Stein. And I saw the promotional materials on the Shucked Oyster. And everyone should spend as much money as possible and send it to Black Lodge Games. Just take out, as I said before, take out like a HELOC on your loan, on your house. Get a second loan. Do it. Send it directly to Black Lodge Games because the Shucked Oyster, what is it? 3rd place in the Golden Scooties this year.
It was up for a Scooty. That's true.
Look, it's very worthy of a Scooty. Okay, it lost to BROSR. We'll talk about that later, but it's a great product. But to be fair, I didn't need the whole product to bring to my campaign because
Ain't nobody got the time for that.
I don't read things, okay? I'm very OSR in that way. I appreciate I read appendix in
Well,
stuff.
no,
I read the Charwoman's Shadow. That's what I read. I don't
you weren't
read.
OSR about it because you didn't just buy it and not read it.
True.
You took the stuff
I used it
you hadn't
before it
read.
was even readable.
It wasn't even buyable.
Before I can put it on my bookshelf and stare at it like some sort of weird supile swami. Okay?
Just having it makes me a better gamer.
It does. Just having the OSR products makes you a better gamer. That's what Pundit will tell you, my friends. But I took the conception in the Kickstarter and he said, look, there's this brothel. It has a thing in the basement. It's this dark magic. And here's 3 of the NPCs. And I was like, those NPCs line up pretty well with some characters that I have in my campaign already. So I'll say that they're up to those things. They have those same goals. They have those same things going on. And the point being, the reason I did that, number one, shameless promotion. I wanted Black Lodge Games to talk about me on their podcast of 6 quadrillion people because coming on here with the Dunder Riz podcast, while I love the handlebar mustache, I love the Riz he brings to the table. I love the 4 of you that are listening right now. There's only 4 of you. It's not a big sale. It's not hidden. Whereas Black Lodge Games can get like 1,000 people to tune into them.
They have switched on their monetization, actually.
Yeah, they can get like 1,000, 2,000, 9,000 people to tune into them, like dancing to electro music with a strobe light. So, I need that. I need that kind of promotion.
Yeah.
So that's why I did it. But also to show that you just don't need much for a Bronstein. In fact, we recently, with BroXT, we have proven that you can do a Bronstein in the space of the characters.
Yeah.
In a tweet. You can create an entire Bronstein in a tweet. But we'll get back to that later.
We'll get back to that later. That's a teaser for later. We were not talking BroXT just yet.
No, we're not there yet.
So then, as you can tell, it just kind of blew up with all the Bronsteins. And I got to the point where it used to be that the BROSR was a tight-knit group of people experimenting together with these ideas. And the thing that I think the summer of Stein turned into the 2024 of Stein. I feel like the whole year filled up with people trying this stuff. And new people kept trying it that hadn't played it before. And the people that were trying it were doing a bunch more, right? Like Janeway doing Starstein has done a bunch of them. We got Gelatinous Rube doing the Lancer one. That one's ongoing. I got overwhelmed with them. I got to play in so many of them. I was having the time of my life. I got to play with Bradford Walker as a DM. And it got to the point where I was legit overwhelmed. Like, I don't think that it's a feasible idea. If this is going to continue growing exponentially as it is, I don't think that I'm going to be able to keep up. And that's a beautiful thing. It means that the movement is growing. It means that people have been convinced. I feel like 2024, I mean, rough as it was, I feel like it was the year that the BroSR won. We had some huge things happen in 2024, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I was a little more liberal with the mute button on X, but I felt like the amount and the vitriol of the ankle biting that I have been experiencing went down drastically. I felt like people were able for the first time to get interested and curious and try stuff out without immediately hitting a wave of haters, right? I don't know. Have you experienced that? Do you feel like the level of pushback has just totally eroded, or am I just muting the exact right people?
You may be muting the exact right people. I don't mute them because I enjoy. They set up punchlines for me when they come to me and say, "Oh, the bros are just doing the same stuff of this, that, or the other," or the bros are doing something totally new, or the bros are not allowed to say the word Bronstein. I like to quote tweet that into a really nice punchline. As Gelatinous Rube says, The haters legit could not keep up. Now
And
I can't. Yeah, go ahead. What else?
as Alchemic Raker says, Brosar has a major problem I think will continue into 2025. They just can't stop winning.
We can't stop winning. It is a problem. It's success breeds success.
Yeah.
You will see. And much like, what else? What does Bradford have to say there?
Bradford says the PDF merchants of the OSR could not keep up either. Yeah. I feel like WotC's going one way, the bros are staying solid, and OSR's got a foot in the boat and a foot on the dock, and they're going in the drink.
They're gonna get split apart. They're gonna do like a little. They're gonna do a split, and they're gonna fall in the water. It's true. I predicted this 2-3 years ago. I don't know what it was. I predicted that the OSR was DOA because they were a little bit too. I don't like to use the word woke.
Yeah.
Woke, liberal, goofy, product focused. I don't know. The type of stuff that Bradford Walker puts on his is fantastic.
Yeah.
Blog.
Substack.
Yeah, his Substack, that they have a particular focus, and the focus is churn out these PDFs for you to buy so that they can afford a half of a 6-pack. So I don't know if that's a business model that anyone should really be interested in, but it is the business model that they're in, and I wish them well. I don't think that that's what we need. I don't think that's what the gaming needs. I don't think that's what tabletop RPGs require. But you can go down that route with WotC. But if you're going to go down that route, you have to chase WotC. You got to chase them.
Yeah.
You got to follow them. And unfortunately, PDF guys, the technology is not there for you to follow WotC down their microtransaction path. So you're dead. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. So I predicted some years ago that it was going to be the Brosar versus WotC. The OSR was done. They're out of luck. And a lot of people thought that was a little bit crazy. I mean, the OSR is still doing good. Pundit loves to put up videos about the OSR is doing great this year. If you look at Drive Through RPG, the top 10 products are OSR, blah, blah, blah. And, know, 1,000 people have bought it. It's like, that's great, man. $5, that's $5,000 split between 10 people. And you guys can, you can show that to your wife who wonders why you spent 100 hours working on something that made you $100. It doesn't 100 like $1 an hour. It doesn't add up as a business plan. We can do a lot better than that. It's just a regular 9 to 5. We can go down to the gas station and work for better than that.
I still feel like the second half of 2024 was rough on them though. Like we saw Venger step out of the publishing business. We saw their whole, the Inappropriate Characters podcast fell apart. They're not doing that anymore. I don't know. I feel like it's rough out there on creators, and you guys can, I don't know. I've got one product out. It's $1.99 until tomorrow. And so I've made well over $100 on it. So yeah, it would pay for StreamYard for like 2 months if I didn't want the logo in the corner. However, I don't know. Things have been changing, and I feel like it's getting rougher for the side that has been hypercritical of the bros. And I felt like it has just been nothing but rocket ship to the moon on the BROSR stock ticker. Like it has been very awesome for me to see the new faces that are coming in, and they're passionate and they're doing stuff that we hadn't thought of. They're taking the ball and they're running with it. I do want to point out Rodney Hampton's point, and I had him on we were talking about Dragons Beyond, which is an amazing product, which basically is like older than OD&D, right? Like it's based on a manuscript from before Zero E came out. But you got guys like Rodney, you got guys like Stephen Smith, the Purple Druid, very fascinated in the actual war games at the beginning, and doing the research and figuring this stuff out. And, as Rodney's saying, resurrecting these old styles of play. The games are not different because they're better. they're different because we lost something, and the guys that are passionate about this and care about it are trying to rediscover it. And heck, as Bradford said, maybe bring something that can do something that video games can't already do better.
Yeah. No, Bradford. I mean, what is this? The fourth time we mentioned him? He's just killing it on there. The fact is that Brosar brings to the table and focuses on the aspects of gaming that video games can't deliver on. They just can't do it. It's impossible for them to deliver on what is needed for a Brosar campaign. So
that's right.
So that's kind of the deal. Is that, like you said, the OSR has been taking lumps all year, and I don't know if it comes directly from the BROSR or just from the fact that they're kind of stuck in the soup aisle. They're kind of staring it down. I don't know. I feel like the soup aisle maybe collapsed on them. Did the top row of the soup fall? Did the ramen open up and they're just kind of like tied up in the ramen? I don't know. It's kind of a crazy situation. But they can't get past it. So I'm happy for the ones that are doing well. Act 2 is doing well. It's OSR.
Yeah.
It's OSR. It started with OSR. I think Macros wants to move beyond the OSR conception, but if Pundit is doing well in Uruguay, where he can make ends meet there because it's 30 cents to buy a taco or whatever, that's good for him. That's
Rock
good
on.
for him. But that's not what the BROSR is doing. We're trying to reinvent the clubhouse in the United States primarily, and some other countries secondarily, maybe like Australia and Europe and stuff, because we got Macho Mandoff and in Australia and this type of thing. I heard on your last podcast with Brosar Diceless, the one guy had a Australian accent or English. I don't know. It was the guy that had the voice modulator.
We're worldwide, man. We're global.
Worldwide, we're global. What does Alchemic Raker got to say?
Alchemic Raker says the OSR is a failure on its ultimate goal. It did not recover the old style of play, like Brosar, Dragons Beyond, TOL, etc. are revealing. I think when he says TOL, he means the old Lords of Wonder and Ruin, which is Alchemic Raker's take on Chainmail.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know that one. I can say that OSR encouraged a lot of people to try old school play, and I think 2024 may have been the year where people realizes like, you're giving me like a surface level thing.
Yeah.
It's like, go try BX. Okay, you go try BX, and then it's like, what's next? And these guys say like, then buy my product. If you want a city thing, buy my city product. If you want a wilderness thing, buy my wilderness. That's fine, and that can get you some okay sessions here and there. But if you're approaching it with conventional style, you're not going to hit that level that you really, really need that the Brosar is doing.
I feel like we outflanked them. We took it more serious. We went older than they were willing to go. And we said, not only do we want to play the way that they were playing back then, but we want to resurrect all the rules that they weren't. We said, let's go raw first edition. And they were trying to play Get Along Gang with a different ethos of like what they were doing was good. There's a lot of great OSR products out there, and especially when you couldn't buy PODs or PDFs of the original materials when it was just 4E or nothing, the OSR was the way to go, right? It's just that they got hung up on BX and they got hung up on just reinventing the wheel. The chat is crazy lit right now. Let me just catch up with some of these. Mr. Blue says RPG products as a side effect of your gaming versus RPG products as a hustle. Sepstral Madness, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, says OSR was rejected at the ballot box.
It was. OSR is the longhouse. There's no doubt about that.
Yep. Tag says, and their key failure was rewriting the books and changing things. Yeah, so a lot, but let's not get too distracted about the OSR thing. I want to focus on highlights of this year, and then maybe take it to what do you think were the big lessons that we learned. But one of the big moments that we have not mentioned was the publishing of Brosar. And this is something that you were completely responsible for it. You were the one grabbing the reins and putting it together in the background. So tell me a little bit about that process. What sponsor, like what lit the fire, and how easy or hard was it for you to get the bros to come together as just amazingly quick as you did?
For Brosar, we kind of were focused on just kind of getting things out. We wanted to get as many factions as we could, and we wanted to get main thing was I had Jeffro in the back channel like, hey man, I'm open to writing some essays about this. So that's kind of the main thing. He was up for doing essays on what like he was thinking, like, and you talked on he had like type 3. We were doing the 1-to-1 time stuff like type 3 aspect.
Yeah.
And then he also defined like, okay, type 2, type 1. I don't remember the type 2 and type 1 but exact. I think type 1 is kind of the session Bronstein that we've been talking about. And that is sort of a situation where it's like, this is what we're trying to do. And when I realized I had Jeffro ready to rock and roll on doing some essays, I was like, that's great. He's going to define what we're talking about. He's going to put it straight down. He's going to put it down. And so, okay, so what do we do with that? And I was like, let's just make some factions. At that point, it was just getting the bros together to do their faction stuff, like to just put the factions in there. And that there were some challenges there to get some of these guys to like nail down, like, hey, you know, like, are you going to be done with it today? Let's go.
You're doing some project management.
Yeah, there was some PM going on, that's for sure. But it's like I gave them like a deadline, and the deadline was kind of a little bit extreme because we wanted to be done quick, because I'm a little impatient. Like, I just want it done. And Jeffro was just banging out these ridiculous essays, like just typing them up so fast, where it was like, it really, we want these factions to be ready about the time he's done with the essays. And so people can use the essays with the factions right away without having to wait around or whatever. So that was kind of my job. I took it on myself. Jeffro told me he's not the type that could have probably got people wrangled up to do that. I didn't see myself as project managing, more as like wrangling, like getting all these guys, like, let's just, come on, man, let's go.
Getting their attention, getting them to focus and commit and say, that's all right, let's get this in here.
Yeah. So that worked out well. There were some situations where you had to kind of adjust. But at the end of the day, it kind of came out quick. And I more credit Kursova, Alexander for Kursova, for being able to just like, I had all this stuff. I had all this data. Like, okay, here's this 1 million pages. All these 14 guys wrote 2 pages. What do we do with this? And he like cleaned it up and he made it look like workable, you know?
Yeah.
So me, I was just trying to get people to write, and I was like, 2 pages, what you got? Don't give me more, don't give me less. And then Kursova came in and was like, okay, I'm going to clean these 2 pages up. And then Jeffro and myself, we just wrote our essays based on what we thought would get the information out there.
Right on. I was amazed at how quick it came out. Was there a fire under you guys as far as timing, or was it just like, no, this is coming together, we're driving them hard, and just now's the time?
2024 was the year. Okay, we had Summer of Stein, and 2024 was the year. We needed it. We needed it out there. We needed people to be going. We needed people to be doing it. And I was a little disappointed with our little media run we did after the fact. We were like, okay, all right, it's out there. What's up? Let's go. We didn't have a lot of people reporting that they were actually running the damn thing.
Yeah.
So that sucked. And that was when I kind of took it on myself to start the Bro XT. I was like, and Brosar was a main focal point of starting up Bro XT, which is our developmental program for new bros, for new people that may be able to be DMs in this, may be able to be players
Yeah.
in this type of gaming. And so far, so good on Bro XT. It's really going big.
Well, you put a challenge out as well on oh shoot. I had like 4 things that I wanted to talk about, and they've all just run into each other in my. I mean, this may be the medicine, y'all. There was something about Brosar, right? Like a belt or something. Is that Bro XT stuff? No, there was. I felt like there was something before the Bro XT stuff where you were like, people run Brosar and tell us how it went, right?
I mean, I begged and borrowed and stealed. You know, I did it all.
Crom ran the Bronless Dice Stein, right? No, that was the first one. The other one was the Brosar Diceless. So
there it is.
So there
all
it
right.
is. Okay, I got there.
Right.
Sorry.
The cough syrup is good.
Yeah. Brosar Diceless happened. Somebody else beat him to the punch, though. Somebody else ran Brosar. Oh no, it wasn't you. It was Kursova was offering a copy of the Jewels of Opar.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I do remember.
To the first person to run Brosar.
Did anyone collect on that? Did anyone collect?
Yes.
All right, good. So I got ran.
Who collected on that? Was it DM Raptor? Somebody got it. They ran it. They just ran it to the session report. But Brosar, the Brosar Diceless, I actually was able to run. That was one of my most recent episodes. The last straight one on this channel that wasn't part of the random table. And that one, I mean, everyone pretty much agreed BDubs won that one. He was next level. I was a frog. I was one of the frogmen, but I wasn't of the frogmen faction. I tried to reprise my role as a reporter, and it lasted, like a week until BDubs tricked me into a pond full of water and dropped a magic rock in it and like cooked me and one of his own guys in the process.
That was good role playing. I heard that part.
It was a lot of fun.
You probably knew you were deader than.
Oh, I knew I was dead as soon as I arrived. I knew that if I went there, that was going to happen. But it was just too delicious not to. And it was another one of those things that you were talking about before with the gangbuster sign. The DM wasn't there. It was just BDubs and I going back and forth in the. We were just messaging each other on Twitter and played out a whole scene, and it was amazing. And then we had to tell the DM what happened, right? The other thing that you said from earlier in this very episode about, if your character dies, you can roll up a new one or play a lower level one or something. That was something that happened multiple times in Brosar Diceless, was that a main character, an NPC, would die, but because you were running a faction, you had lieutenants and stuff, and just because your main guy died didn't mean you lost the game, didn't mean you were out of the game. That was fascinating to see as well. So, really interesting things that the Bronstein style play can bring to a game, and the things that you'd think you would have to worry about, like, well, what if my guy gets assassinated? It's like, well, okay, in Tribal Stein, that makes a difference, right? If you're doing is type 2 the session Bronstein and type 1 is the play by post, or did I get them switched from
I'm not sure. I didn't read it. I produced Brosar, but I didn't read it. So
I got it here. I won't make everybody wait while I figure it out. But basically, yeah, the ways that we've been running these, there's been 2 ways. And Jeffro did both of them to start us out. I mean, the guy's always, tribal chief. He's always first on this stuff. The first Traveler Stein was it was in person, right? Like it was a session Bronstein. And then, or no, I'm sorry. The first one was play by post. And I think that's the type 1 now, where we were all just messaging each other on Twitter, and it was, or was it man, I've been in so many. I'm
oh, good Lord. I think I know better what you were doing than you. So let me define this for you. The Traveler's Team started as a play-by-post.
Bail me out, bro. Was it a Twitter play-by-post, or was it Discord?
It was Twitter play-by-post.
All
and
right.
It went for about a week. Jeff was like, email me your orders for this week.
Yes.
They better be good, or they get ignored.
And
So
he even
did that for like 2
format.
weeks.
He
Yeah,
gave you a format for what he wanted you to submit.
yeah.
Like
He did that
mind
for
blowing.
2 weeks in format with a format.
Yeah.
We did that for about 2 weeks, and then you based yeah, that was right. And you finished it out by blowing everyone's head off or whatever. And then we went into like Traveler Stein sessions for about
Yes.
a month and a half
And that was super fun.
based on the results of that. So that went really well. So that is what you were up to. I don't know where you were going with this comment, but that's what you did.
Yeah. Who knows where I was going? Oh, Crafty Matt does bring up. I hear in the darkest corners of the Innersphere that BroTech 2 is gearing up, and we didn't talk about that one either. That was one of my episodes, BroTech, where that was Zach, also known as X Dude, ran that, and Crafty. Well, Zach was the DM. I feel like Crafty ran that one, as far as he tricked another faction into surrendering to his own as part of their deal or whatever. But yeah, it was good stuff. There's, I guess what I'm driving at is like, what would you say looking back on the summer of Steen and 2024? What do you think we learned? What do you think we learned as a BroSR about how this stuff works? What do you think we solved and figured out? And then maybe looking forward, what are the things that we're still working on?
I think what we learned is that the excitement of the PvP
Mm-hmm.
and the scheming against other players with the fog of war, with multiple people at the same time, not just one on one, which is what the DM versus the players tends to be, one on one.
Yeah.
The DM can have a conception of like there's a billion NPCs out there, but when it really comes down to it, it always drills down to the DM versus the players.
Mm-hmm.
And in a session Bronstein, in a one-to-one time Bronstein during downtime, battle Bronstein, all this stuff. There's more elements. There's BDubs versus Dunder versus Crafty Matt versus Robert the Hill Stevens. It's a whole thing. That's going to be more exciting. So what we learned is the multiple points of connection is going to get you where you need to be.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to have your more fun. That's where you're going to have more fun, basically. And that's the good part. That's what we learned in 2024 for sure. And we learned also on these Bronsteins that it doesn't take a lot. You can fit the design of the Bronstein into a tweet. You can put it in a tweet. It's so simple. It's such a simple concept. Like this guy versus that guy. Boom, here's the factions, or here's the setting, and then here's the factions. It's quick.
Yeah. So what's the minimum you need for a Bronstein? You need a setting, you need factions.
That's it.
Is that
That's
it?
it.
Do you need motivation? Do you need something for them to like something to, or is that just the DM's job to kind of like corral them towards each other?
If your players are worth their salt, if they're bros, they're gonna think of their own motivations. They're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
So you really don't need that necessarily. What you need is players who are open to you to say, here's what my motivation is. And you say, that's not going to work for me, brother. If it's no good.
Yeah.
If it is good, you say, man, take that ball and run with it. Go.
Yeah.
So that's the deal. And you need players who are okay with that. You need players who have what you always say, that open hand of like, like they come to you and you say, that motivation is not really great. And they don't get mad. They're just like, all right, let's work on it. Let's do it. And I think since the summer of Stein, and certainly with BroXT, they're ready, man. They're ready to hear that. They're ready to hear that critique and be like, oh, okay, so what am I missing?
Yeah.
What can I do a little better with my motivation? What can I do better with my drive? So I think that's what we've learned in 2024 on this Bronstein stuff. What do we need to improve on? What we need to improve on is the excitement. What we need to improve on is we're putting too much weight on the DMs. We're putting too much on what they need to do. The players need to improve. The players need to get better. We need elite players, because as me and Robert the Heel Stevens podcast here on the Dunder Riz podcast proved, the DMs are delivering.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the players may not be.
Yeah. Let me address a few comments first, and then I'll get to my question about the players. From, oops, sorry, sorry, Ryan. I was trying to click on Hokkaido-san, one above. There was a discussion after Brosero specifically about that. You get to manipulate real people instead of NPCs. Watching plans come together is extremely engaging. And there was another one. Man, the chat has been going crazy. Oh, here we are. Michael Otero says, I'm interested in playing a Bronstein or Brosar or living campaign game. Is there a campaign online somewhere I could join somewhere? Discord. What advice do we have for folk like Michael that are like, man, this stuff sounds great. How do I get involved? I would say to Michael, first of all, a lot of this stuff's happening on Twitter or X. So I don't know if you're on there, but I am. If you want to follow me, it's just at Dunder Moose on x.com. I'll throw it in the chat. Definitely follow me. There's a lot of guys I know that are running stuff. There's a Star Trek game that's going on right now, and I think Rodney's in that one. So Rodney, you can reach out to Michael if you want and say, hey man, we need more people in Star Trek. But yeah, for me, that was how I got looped in, was on X, and there is a lot of stuff that happens on.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. What advice would you have, BDubs, as far as for people on the outside that are like getting a taste of this, and like, you know what, this looks interesting, this looks fascinating. How do I get in on this?
I think if you have a table right now, if you're running D&D, if you're running D&D and your players are open to like switching it up once in a while, even if it isn't like forever, just run Brosar. Just run it.
Yeah.
Just download it.
It's free. I'm going to put a link to it in the chat right now. Keep going.
And then just be like, look, guys, I know we have our campaign going, or at the end of a campaign, like, look, we've had our 6 sessions of our conventional game. Let's just switch it up. Let's try something. Let's try this crazy product I found. You don't have to tell them it's free. You don't have to tell them the Brosar is involved and is known for thought crime. You don't have to tell them any of that. You just pretend none of that is the case. Okay? You just ignore that aspect of everything. And you just tell them, hey, this is this thing. And then you give them the list of the factions. You say, just pick the one you want, man. Just go for it. And then the second person picks one. And that's it. It's just like we put in Brosar. And if they pick the same alignment, you go to the second guy and say, look, we already got a lawful guy. You need to be neutral. Chaotic, man. Come on. We need some action here. So that's it. That's the only advice I give to Brosar. If you just pick equal amount of lawful, neutral, chaotic, evil, that kind of stuff, you're going to have a good time. So go ahead and give that a shot.
Yeah.
If you have a regular table. If you do not have a regular table, if you are stuck in the Elon Musk H1B world of just being like everything is online, everything is AI, everything is Cybertruck, and you don't have real life friends and you're just struggling with that post-COVID, post-lockdown, look, we'll be your friends. We'll be your pals. You follow Dunder Moose. He's the nicest one among us. He's the baby face that is not baby faced of the Brosar. It is what it is. He has the handlebar mustache.
I'm the aged, haggard baby face.
Grab onto that handlebar and just ride it. Just all right, that was too much. That was too much.
Oh my gosh!
I got you with that one.
You got me good.
Okay.
Oh, Michael, get us out of this moment.
Otero has more questions. Let's go with this.
He says, so you guys are, you got me, man. So you guys are branching out of 1E. I thought Axe would be great, though I'm running C&C right now. I was wondering if Dune 2D20 might be great for a Bronstein.
Everything is great for a Bronstein.
Yeah.
Everything is great. If you have a table and you love a system, Bronstein is a great way to just test it. Like, heck with it. And you show people the high level junk of the system. Like, look, here's what you're going to be doing if you level some characters in this world, man. Like
Yeah.
Dune, I don't know what that is. Dune, you know,
Well, I
whatever
think
that.
that, like, there's Dune 2D20 has a Bronstein kind of built into it as far as like the game of the houses, the high level part of it. I've not played it. I do own the PDF. I've not read it.
Sure,
uh,
why not? Go for it, man. Just
to
don't put Zendaya in it. That's all that I would ask of you. Don't put her in.
to be fair, like every single one of these Bronsteins I've joined, I have had to try and learn a new system for. I know like 10% of a ton of games. I'm still fascinated with 1E. I feel like 1E was the Rosetta Stone that we used to start unlocking um these amazing principles that they may have been like I think on my last random tables I talked about all the places where one-to-one time is mentioned. So there's other sources, but I feel like what Gary did in 1E was really capture, for those of us trying to look for the time capsule in the most complete and concise way, the stuff that was going on. Um, Once you know those principles and understand them, they work wherever you apply them, right? But for me, I'm still fascinated with 1E.
I
Um,
agree. I think that's why the Trilopulus experiment in 2020 was so important.
yeah,
That's going back 4 years now. We want to stick to 2024, but the fact of the matter is, trying 1E led to this stuff. Like, okay, this one-to-one time, and then this Bronstein stuff. And Michael Otero had another comment if you want to put in there.
oh
We
heck
got
yeah,
we might actually get a new person into doing this stuff as opposed to these four people that always follow everything we do anyway. Michael Otero says, I got copies of Brosar. You can win a D&D and living campaigns coming in the mail. That's a big deal, man.
yeah,
We appreciate you grabbing those. We don't make a dime on Brosar. Jeffro makes extreme bank on you can win a D&D. I think he's probably stacking his cash right now. He's
yeah.
stacking it up and he's showing it to his next dance partner at the swing dance right now. He's got the coins. He's like, hey, I can be the lead because I made some cash on you can win at D&D. But my point being, we appreciate you doing that. We don't ask in the BROSR that you buy a bunch of stuff, but I think that stuff will lead you into the right direction. If you want to jump into one of our games, Michael, the fact that you're saying any of this or jumping in tonight on this crazy last second podcast means I'm sure you can find a bro DM that will take you on. So,
Right on, man.
look out for us. Ask Dunder. He'll know what's up. If you aren't into that or just don't have time for it and you have your own table, those products, those concepts, those books will tell you how to do it at your own table. We promise.
Yeah. So I'll be looking for you on X-Men. We'll get you plugged in. But as I told Harmony, and I've told some of the other females that are like, well, I say I told Harmony. She already knew this. But as I affirmed, you do not need to be invited in. You can try this stuff for yourself and see if it works. And you can run your sessions, you can blog the receipts, and then nobody can argue with you. Right? So
Yes,
awesome.
that is correct. I don't know who that person is that you're talking about. Some sort of female somewhere, the women's division. I don't follow the women's division. As you'll see when you start watching Raw on January 6th as it debuts on Netflix, which is
Yeah.
worth $3 trillion. So the United States is doing great. Netflix is worth $3 trillion, guys.
Wow.
So you're going to check that out on Raw next week. But I don't know who that is. I don't follow the women's division. But you're right. You don't need permission from the bros to do your own things with our free product, with Jeffro's insane money grab scheme at You Can Win a D&D.
Such a mop squeezer, that guy.
He's ridiculous. He's just going after all the whales. It's completely insane. Completely insane. But, it's whatever. He needs to make the cash. But you can also look for us online. You're a guy. We will help you out. You're not part of the women's division, so you can reach out to us. The women's division we ignore and keep outside the gates, generally speaking.
So I do want to address Alchemic Raker's comment. Will BroSR try 1E's 1-to-1 combat time this year? And like that's something that was one of those shows that I had lined up before I got apocalyptically sick. And I do want to bring you guys Alchemic Raker, and I do want to have him. I mean, everyone that's on X already knows about these ideas, but I want to be able to give him a stage to talk about this stuff and the old lords and stuff like that too. So, yeah, I'm excited about that show coming up, but. Yeah, there are parts of 1E that talk about 1-to-1 combat time. Like, you know, if it's a dude's turn and he's hemming and hawing, he doesn't know what spell he's going to cast. Hey, that's what you were doing for your turn. If people are arguing with each other at the table, well, guess what? The orcs can hear that in the next room. You know, stuff like that. That does like places where it does zoom into 1-to-1 time in the session. Now, a lot of bros have gone on record as saying, no, this is only away from the table. But I feel like a lot of that is because we keep having to explain 1-to-1 time to the ankle biters, the people that resist. You explain the same thing over and over again, and then they just make the same objections. And you wonder if they're really not getting it or if they're just being obtuse on purpose. So
during the Shuck Stein, I found that I had 1-to-1 planning time, 1-to-1 game world time. If it took me about 10 minutes to get back to a particular person because it was a city Bronstein.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, if you read at BDubs1776.blogspot.com, you will see that it was basically like, I was like, if I need 10 minutes to get back to this thief or whatever, it probably took him about 10 minutes to do that operation he was trying.
All right, I was throwing that link in the chat real quick.
Chat is going crazy. You're ridiculous. At Blogspot, is it an email? Handlebar man? What it was happening there?
Sorry, that should have been a dot.
Good
You
Lord.
try that again.
Good heavens. What a disaster. This is so last second. You can just tell. Look, Michael, we are so thankful for you jumping in.
Right on, then.
Because this was all a disaster, except for you saying you're going to try this stuff. So thank you very much, sir.
I was on Tabletop Family. He had me on his show.
That was really great, by the way.
Probably
that was a lot of fun. You guys really were really cool together. You had like some cool commentary. It was really good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I never know how it's going to go. Usually I like to ask the questions and let you guys do the content, but he invited me on. I'm pretty sure it's only because Crafty Matt put me on his radar. But as Crafty Matt points out that he started using BROSR principles, and that's a win for the BROSR, and that his son won't play the game any other way. And I believe they're playing Dragonbane, but they're using 1-to-1 downtime so their players can keep doing stuff when they're not in session. And that's the thing I've experienced too. That's the thing that made this worth it, in the spite of the early battle days when we just had resistance on every side and ankle biters and stuff, is that like the people that try this overwhelmingly seem to like it.
It's unstoppable. My kids get it. They play Animal Crossing on the Switch.
Yeah.
So they thus understand the BROSR way, because Animal Crossing is closer to real D&D than what the OSR and WotC run. That is just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Which is very depressing. But also pretty, it makes it to where the bros just have our enemies are ridiculous. That's a fact. So let's talk about 2025. The hair clogs up all his thoughts, as according to Raptor Jesus. Look, Raptor Jesus is in the BroXT.
It's finally time.
He's trying to jump into a future tournament for the BroXT title belt by having a comment we discussed. That one doesn't count because it's just a dumb joke. Robert the Hill Stevens is a booker in the BroXT. That's right. We have 3 bookers in the BroXT. It's myself, Booker Dubs, Booker Dunder Riz. He has come to fruition. He has come of age in the BroSR. He is there.
Feels good, man.
Booker Robert the Heel Stevens. Now, what is the BroXT?
What is the BroXT? What is going on?
What is the Brooks T? You asked the question. It's your show. You officially asked the question. Brooks T is based off of World Wrestling Entertainment's sort of third show, like low show, gets low ratings. It doesn't do great. It's on Wednesdays, I think. I don't know. Robert will chime in on that one. It's the up and coming talent. It's the up and coming guys who are doing training live on television. Back in the day, some 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, people that wanted to be top wrestlers in world WWF, WWE,
Yeah.
WCW, they would grind it out sort of in like these local places, making
Roller
decent
rink.
money. Back in they'd roll, they'd do their thing, they'd be running the ropes. WWE said, we want them to train live on TV. So that's what they're doing, and it's called NXT. So I took the name and made it into BroXT because we have a lot of guys that are training in public these concepts. A lot of new guys like Raptor Jesus who are trying to train in public. I don't know about that name, Raptor. You might have to change that. It's a little bit sacrilegious, but I'm not going to take offense to it today because the BroXT welcomes a lot of different types of folks. We welcome everyone. We welcome people who maybe you're a little bit more reverent than me and the Dunder might be. But Brooks T is a place for new bros to come up who are trying these things. Where myself, Dunder Moose, and Robert Stevens are overseeing their training. We have a legends contract with Jeffro Johnson, which means he comes into the chat once in a while to tell the Brooks T people they are all terrible in every way and tell them that they need to regroup on their entire life and that everything about them is awful. That's what legends do, my friend. You think Jake the Snake Roberts would come in? You think DDP would come in and be like, oh, you're doing great. Keep it up, putty. Yeah. No. They come in and tell you to get better.
That's right.
Come in and tell you to get better.
They say not good enough. And then we have to remoralize everyone.
We have to remoralize everyone. Because the bookers, we are not there to put them down. We're there to lift them up. We're there to teach them. And the BroXT in 2025, it's going to be the new thing. We're eliminating. Eventually, I do believe Brosar, is the name, will probably fade as we take on the name BroXT. Because we don't need the SR. Because the OSR,
it's confusing people.
It's junk. They suck. They're lame. They're stuck in the soup aisle. The soup aisle shelf collapsed on them. They're laying under the Campbell's soup. It looks like a Warhol painting when he was high on crack. It's not good.
The car battery on their Amigo is sparking out as the cream of mushroom leaks into it.
It's exhausting. That's exactly what happened. I don't know what you said, but it's exactly right. So the BroXT may be the new name of the BroSR. I don't know. Maybe we change our name in 2025. You need to stay tuned. But the BroXT people are doing humongous things. We got Crom, who ran the Brosar Diceless campaign. He's currently the champion. Crom is the champ. You can't run Brosar Diceless and not be the champ. That's just a fact.
That's right.
But Raptor Jesus is one of the ones in a triple threat match right now trying to take him down, trying to take him out.
Is it Raptor Jesus or is it Raptor Jesus?
Yes.
I've only ever seen it spelled. I haven't heard it spoken aloud.
That's a fact. You could be right. He can chime in. The point of the being, BroXT is here. We got Crom Breaker.
Crom Breaker.
Robert the Heel Stevens with Crom Breaker comment. That was pretty good. What was the other one? The other one you jumped off too soon.
Oh, that was an accident. That was a misclick.
Oh, okay. It was a misclick. Misclicks happen, my friends. But BroXT is here. 2025 is the year of BroXT. These guys don't realize that by the end of the year, they're going to be the ones whose games we're talking about. When me and Dunder hook up and meet up next year, like on January 2nd or, December 30th or whatever it is we do, we're going to be talking about these guys. Raptor Jesus, whose name will change to something less offensive. Crom Breaker, he'll be in there doing his thing. We got some big names. They're not household names yet, but in 2025, they're going to be household names.
Rock on. Yeah. So you put out a challenge to the BroXT, and you've mentioned it a couple times now. You guys need to post a tweet of a Bronstein. Like, just let's not overthink it. You can fit it in the characters you have. Some of us are blue checks and we have a little more characters than others, but mine wasn't part. I was just doing it for the funsies. Mine wasn't in the running.
It was not. You can't win the champion with your handlebar mustache and your blue check and your Booker status. Okay, Booker's. Okay, I take it back. In the history of wrestling, Bookers have actually held the championship. It's actually a problem. So I've made it the case that Bookers can't, and Bookers and BroXT cannot, because in some territories, Bookers would hold the championship for a long time because they could decide if they won the belt. That's a problem. Some of these young talent can't come up. So none of the Bookers can hold the belt. We just can't. It's Crom's right now. I think Crom is probably on his way to the main event, probably in the next month or two. He could be coming up. The BROSR dice list was just incredible. It just really was. And,
I gotta say, it sounds like there are some amazing things going on in the Living Earth campaign.
It does. It sounds pretty exciting to me. What have you seen about Living Earth that's got you pumped?
I was excited about some of the innovations that Crom came up with in BROSR dice lists. What did he call it? The GOSS, the GOSS.
Love it. Love the GOSS. Love it.
Yeah. And I want to have him back on too to talk about that, because I feel like he's probably even iterated further on that as he's been thinking about it in his next one. But what tools can we give DMs that are running now that we've done this a few times, now that we got a year under our belt? What are some of the best practices for running Bronsteins that are coming out just through the natural experimentation and that kind of stuff? So that's what I'm fascinated with. At the end of the day, the reason I care about Bronstein is because, number one, it gets your players excited. And number two, it offers the promise of putting your game on an easier footing than it may be if you're trying conventional methods. Now, that being said, if you don't do it correctly, and we don't know exactly what correct and incorrect is yet, but as you saw with Bro Oriental Adventures, there's a flame out that can happen there. Like, I felt like that was just everything that had happened in Brovenloft, just kind of compressed in time, compressed in people, and compressed on a DM. And I've got I've got 2 episodes on that, from last year, so you can go back and watch those if you want to know what I'm talking about. But I want it to be something that makes the game better, makes it easier for the players to get excited about, and makes it easier for the DM to run without feeling intimidated or feeling like they've wrecked it. I feel like everyone that's run a Bronstein has felt that moment where it slips out of their fingers and they're no longer in charge. And there is a huge likelihood that you will feel a failure at that moment. It happened to Wesley the very first time. How do we get people to recognize that when it's coming and say, no, this is still a win? And what can we do to give them the tools to keep throwing spice in, to keep encouraging people to PvP each other and not turtle up and not try to, what did you guys call it? Farm dweeb or dweeb farm, something like that. Because I feel like that was one of the problems with Method 3 is that farm dweebing can happen. And then it's just a matter of the person who spends the most time with it wins. Right?
Yes.
Playing a solitaire game.
Farm dweeb is about who can play solitaire the best, and that's fine. There's some positives to that, and there's some good things that happen. But the fact of the matter is, you want the convergence, you want the PvP, you want the grand scale, the greatness, the power. You want people going up against each other, and I think the best way to encourage that is just, I think session Bronsteins work better than the 1-to-1.
Mm-hmm.
1-to-1, you're basically like telling your DM, like, hey, take time out of your day, come talk to me about this, that, and the other. And I did this. I put this post in BroXT, a comment in the BroXT channel, where all the best new blood are coming up with the best bookers in the tabletop RPG space in Dunder Moose and Robert the Hill Stevens and Booker Dubs, the top of the top. And I basically said, with one-to-one time, with downtime, if it is something that's like PvE, and if you guys have played, if you played like WoW, if you played like massively multiplayer online games,
Yeah.
you'll know PvE is like player versus enemy, like player versus the NPCs. Basically, if you don't play video games, that's what it is. The players versus the NPCs. If it's players versus NPCs, it probably doesn't need a lot of demon oversight. It does. It just doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Or the DM can just shut it down, saying, "No, you're not doing that because that's boring. Because it's just you versus me, and that's lame." Next, okay. So what's next? Player versus player is almost always going to need some DM oversight because the
Yeah.
DM needs to make sure that it's refereed fairly. If it's like Robert the Heel versus Dunder Moose, you need BDubs to make sure that that's fair to some degree, or at least to oversee it and be like, okay, Robert the Heels, you brought your army to attack Dunder Moose's army. I that seems to make sense for the logistics. It seems like you can march there in 4 days. Blah blah blah. You can be, and that's it. That's all. That might be all the DM needs, and then you say, hey, Dunder and Robert, you guys resolve it. You can just
Yeah.
go. Get back to me if you need some resolution stuff.
I'm going over to Bob's house. We're gonna break out a map and some minis, and then we'll tell you what happened. Right?
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think the future of the BROSR is the face-to-face, is the clubhouse, is the reality, is the meet space place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the way to go. And then as far as the last one is the crafting and that type of stuff. Downtime crafting, like making magic items or mining or something like. I think most players can probably handle that themselves as long as their game system has those rules. And
Yeah.
Acts 2, the Golden Scooty winner has those rules. So if you need that, go for it.
Right on. I got another awesome comment here from Loiger the Cthulhu, or Kalulu, or however you pronounce that. Been loving these conversations. I feel like this is the style game I've been craving.
It is. It's the style of game you've been craving. It's exactly what you want. It will make all your tabletop RPG gaming dreams come true. Loiger, it is what you need, my friend. So just go with it. Download Brosar, run it if you already have a table. Reach out to Dunder Moose, our resident baby face, who's not baby faced, if you need some encouragement or direction on that. His Booker Moose.
Right on, man. And Rube says, underrated service from the farm dweebs. They're really fun to boot out. The scramble for their stuff starts a lot of fighting.
I've not done that, but that sounds like Rube's style. It definitely sounds like his style.
Yeah. And then Hansford says, Crom checked in and made sure we understood combat. Let us sort out the PvP ourselves. We could call him to adjudicate as needed. So, yeah, the idea that like if they have it, let them run. And then if they run into something that they either rules wise they're not ready for, or something that might impact something downstream from them, that's when you get the DM involved. That's an interesting concept. And Raptor Jesus says system mastery is kind of key to having a great Bronstein too. So if the players are new, it's easier to run something light, but AD&D is a good standard so you can transfer your character between worlds.
AD&D is the top of the top if you're doing fantasy RPGs. It just is. I run Axe, and I'm gonna move over to Axe 2 when I have the physical books. But
yeah, I got them coming too. I'm part of that popular crowd.
Hey, popular crowd, my man. Yeah, put them on the shelf, stare at them like.
Yeah. Stare at them while I'm sick, being unmotivated to read. But that does, but Raptor's comment does kind of bring back to something I wanted to talk about in, how much should you expect of your players to know the system? Like, do they need to be masters of the system before you invite them into the Bronstein? Or is it something where it's like, okay, I can hold your hand for a little bit, but you really need to be learning this? Because I feel like that was...
Yeah, it's kind of a sliding scale. I would relate it back to wrestling. It's like, if you got a main event talent,
yeah,
you do what you need to do. And I was about to make a joke about this with Crom, is like, I came into the Brosar dice list. I was like, I'm not reading your rule thing. I'm not reading your breakdown of how dice list works. I just am not doing it. But I'm gonna be the Sorcerers. the Swolswers. It's really hard to pronounce. Yeah, Swolswers. And Hans and Franzen, I did no calculations. I did not generate my character. I did nothing. I just said, here's what I'm doing. I publicized it. I didn't do anything in secret at all. So this can be like an addendum to the Brosar Diceless podcast that Moose did, which was fantastic, by the way. It was great. Thank you. And it's like, I just said, DM, you do it or you kill me. I don't care. If you don't want me in your game and I can't do the work and that bothers you, just let me get killed. So I just told him that straight up, and he ran with it. But if you got like a guy that's like new, it's like, you got to prove yourself a little bit. You haven't proven yourself. You've not been in anything. You're the mid card and the lower card. They might need to be like a master of the system. Now, if you're dealing with your friends face to face, now what I just said was based on online personalities, online, that stuff. But if you're dealing with this face to face with your real friends, you need to come to them and be like, I've got this system I want to run. It's called 1E. Here's what we're going to do. You can kind of walk them through it. And if they're a little bit skeptical, you can hold their hand a little bit. It's just like anything else. I think most people who have run old school games have gone through that process with BX. Like, hey, I don't really want to run 5 anymore. There's this thing called BX. Yeah. Let's try this. You probably held their hand for 3 or 4 sessions. Like, I'm sorry you're dead, but you're going to make XP based on the money you get.
They're like, well, what about my bonus action?
Exactly. And you say, oh, you don't have one of those. Oh, I'm really mad that you kind of go through it like, okay, you don't have these things, and you walk them through it, but you expect them to kind of have it within 6 sessions. Mm-hmm. So I'd say if you're doing face-to-face, be very much more forgiving. If you're doing online stuff, be forgiving based on the person's proven record. Right. Like I said, I consider myself main event, so I was like, oh, Crom, you run with this dumb crap I give you. But if Raptor Jesus is in it, it's like, you better get your crap together, Raptor. Yeah. You need your stats. You're Bro XT. You're undercard. So,
right. So let's flip it around from the perspective of a player. What order would you put as far as what you need to do to become elite, to become a good player? Is system mastery the first thing on your list?
If you have a DM that is like all about system mastery, that's all about one system, like he really, really wants to run that system, and then you agree with him, like, yeah, I agree with you, this is going to be fun, let's do it, then I would put system mastery very, very high. If you have a DM who's all over the place, it's like, oh, I'll try this system this week and this system that week and this system the other, then you got a DM that's really more about the experience. He's not really about the rules exactly.
Yeah.
Then I would put your focus on what is going to create moments that is going to make excitement for everyone, and almost look at it like you're like a co-DM. And you and I have talked about this before. I always look at myself as a co-DM, always. Like, what's going to make people excited? And I also like poking people, which you guys may understand from the way I talk and my Twitter feed and everything else. I like to poke people and annoy them and see how they react to the annoyance. And that helps with being a co-DM, because if you're going to be a patron or something, it's like you can be that co-DM type. Like, I'm going to bring this new concept to the game that the DM didn't think of, but I got for you guys.
Yeah.
And they can be excited about it. They can be annoyed about it. They can be scared of the new patron or whatever it is. But that's what your focus should be. If you have that type of DM that wants to jump around systems. But if you have a system focused DM, work with him and master the system with him. Mm-hmm. That would be my advice there.
So step 1, but I like the stuff you're saying too about it's not just about knowing the game system. It's a mindset that
yeah, man, it's a mindset for sure.
You're there to make those moments that everyone will be talking about for years. And sometimes you don't get those by just trying to win at all costs. Sometimes you get those by realizing either something's hilarious or just the right moment has arrived where you're willing to take a loss, even up to and including your character being killed, in order for that to happen.
That's exactly right. And sometimes your character has to be killed for that to happen. But I want to talk about 2025.
2025. Looking
2025.
ahead.
We're here.
It,
Ahead. It's the 1st of
yeah.
January, my friend.
We're
Are you
in the
still
year.
stuck in your Benadryl stupor? What's going on here? We are
The
in the
mustache
first.
wax.
Yeah, your mustache wax is
The
giving you
fumes.
like the fumes are getting you. 2025 is going to be the year of the BROSR. It is.
Yeah.
Look, we love you guys. We want you guys to have better games. We want you guys to do more clubhouse stuff. Okay? Like Bradford Walker talks about on his blog. We want you to read the you know what manual that Crafty Matt talks about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We want these things for you, and that's why we put out Brosar. Brosar is a free PDF on Drive Through RPG, or you can have it printed at cost on Amazon. It's like $4 or $5
Yeah.
or something ridiculous, some silly, ridiculous, who cares number. It is. Even in Biden's America, it's nothing. It's barely anything.
Yeah.
That's what we want for you in 2025. And by the end of the year, I'm not sure if the word BROSR is going to be the thing as much as BroXT. I'm not sure. I really don't know. Because I got to be honest with you guys, this BroXT stuff, the amount of passion, excitement, and what the BroXT guys are bringing to the table, they have ran Brosar more times and since I started the concept about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
They've run Brosar more times than anyone. Than the entire 1,000 and something people who downloaded Brosar. I can go through Brosar, I can go through the reviews, and I don't see anybody saying, like, I ran it. I see a lot of people saying, this looks pretty cool. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, good. You read it. You put it on your shelf. You do your OSR thing and put it on your shelf and stare at it like the chunky soup. But the BroXT guys have ran it. We had a BroXT. What was it, like a cowboy thing the other day? Brosero.
Yeah, it was
We had
Boot Hill.
Yeah, it was Brosar.
I need to do an after action report. It sounds like it was amazing.
It sounds fun. I don't know. We had another one, like a guy just ran Brosar with his two friends. Like he just said, "Hey, we're hanging out for Christmas. Let's just run Brosar." And he had like two friends just go one on one. We've had more BroXT guys run Brosar than we've had BroSR run Brosar. We've had OSR run Brosar. I went on the Basic Experts podcast. I haven't heard any of his fans say they ran Brosar. He hasn't ran Brosar. What's going? BroXT is the top of the top right now.
Right now, yeah.
They're going to climb the card so fast it's going to make people's heads spin.
Here's what I'm passionate about, and I'm glad to see. I mean, I don't know if you're exactly along the same line, but no, I think you are with this BroXT. I don't want there to be like this the old calcified original, like the Legends division. I don't want that to be it. This is not. You are not too late to jump on this bandwagon. Right, the BroSR, we got started in 2020. We have been innovating and wrestling and experimenting, and now is a great time to be joining. And it's not the old guard and the new wave. It's one movement. We're all on the same page here. We're all excited about what can be discovered. We all want you to run these games. We want you to have the games of your lives, and we want to hear about them so that we can all benefit from what you learn. And I think BroXT is a brilliant move in that vein of sharing the spotlight with the new guys, seeing what they can do, inviting everyone to this party because it's amazing, and it's the legacy that we should have gotten from the 40 years crowd who've been playing this way for 40 years and don't believe that there's anything here. Guess what? You can no longer say nobody ever played that way because we've been doing it for years now. All you can say is, well, I don't want to try it, or I'm ready to learn. I'm not going to let my 40 years of how I played it stand in the way of me jumping on this thing that's this very, very classic old way of playing that's somehow new again because capitalism or whatever money grubbing, all of the things that happen to TSR and all of the things that happen to WotC and all of the forces outside of the hobby that have nothing to do with the hobby yanking on the steering wheel like J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson trying to direct a movie franchise. We don't want any of that. We'll let it pass us by. This is that deep magic, and you guys are invited, and you can take part, and you can teach us stuff about when you run your games. Don't just buy it. Don't just put it on the shelf. Play it, run it, and tell us about it. Blog your receipts.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I'm going to do a little backup. We're at the 2-hour mark now. We're right there.
Right on.
I'm going to do a little slow down. I'm a little, for the people who actually tune into this stuff for 2 hours, I'm going to say this. Booker Dunder is right. Booker Moose is correct. He's got it. The fact of the matter is, there was a time when Vince was in charge of WWE. What would go on with the legends is they would come in and they would just stomp a mud hole in the new talent. And that was supposed to get them over. That was supposed to make them the champs. That was supposed to be like, okay, well, Stone Cold came in and stomped you around, and now you're a star. It's bad. It was terrible. It was a bad plan. It doesn't look good, okay? That's not what we're there for, okay? Booker Triple H now is in charge of WWE. Look, he's got his own problems. He's got some stuff. Me and Dunder will talk about them back channels because he's going to start watching Raw next Monday on Netflix.
Yeah. I need the.
It's going to hit the $3 trillion Netflix. The country's doing great because Netflix has $3 trillion. So it's going to be fine. But Booker Triple H, what he did understand is that the legends should not come in and just beat the heck out of these new guys that have passion and hunger, and they have their own talents. They have their own success. I saw it. I went to Bad Blood in Atlanta. It was great. Okay, what happened was, who went out there? Goldberg. Goldberg's great from WCW back in the 90s, man. Goldberg he just stomped he squashed them all. He stomped all their faces in. But the new guy, Gunther, he didn't go out there. He didn't get his face squashed in. He went out there and talked some smack to Gunther, talked some smack to Goldberg. And then it was designed like when Goldberg stepped up and showed how awesome he was as a legend, the new guy just kind of like laughed and kind of walked away. And that was it. That was the booking. That was the design. It didn't make the new guy look like an idiot. It made the new guy look like he had some attitude. It made him a good heel. You understand? That's what BroXT is. Look, Jeffro is in the back channels, and he's going to talk some mad smack about you, but me and Dunder aren't. Robert the Heel Stevens aren't. We're there to encourage you. Jeffro is kind of the Legends contract. He's there to tell you where you're really screwing up. Me and Dunder are there to tell you where you can get better. That's what we're doing. And as far as the public, as far as on the timeline, we are not going to call you out. We're going to invite you to get better. Yeah. We're going to invite you to get over. We're going to invite you to do big things. And you're already doing it. BroXT is already killing it. And I might rename the BROSR to BroXT because it's just that powerful just a month in. It's insane. If we're looking at this in, like, let's say July or something, instead of Summer of Stein from 2024, we might have Summer of BroXT. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's find out together. If you're new to this, look, Michael Azero, these new guys, reach out. Hashtag BroXT. Do it. We will follow it. We'll take a look at it. We'll see if you guys have hunger. Not everyone who's using the hashtag is getting invited in, but anyone who's using the hashtag has done something real with real gaming. Yeah. With real gaming is getting invited in. If you've really ran Brosar, if you've really ran a Bronstein, if you've really tried one-to-one time, you're getting an invite because we want to see what you got. Yeah. Right on. And I think that's probably, at the 2-hour mark, that's probably the great note to end it on, bro. I want to thank you for reaching out and saying, hey, Dunder, let's do a show last minute. My channel, it had been a minute since I'd even put anything up. So this was a lot of fun. I always have fun when you come on. I am proud of what we accomplished in 2024. And I am excited to see what the bros will be up to in 2025. And we invite you to come along for the ride. If you guys like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you want to encourage
us, go ahead and click that thumbs up to let us know that you liked it. And until next time, this is BDubs and Dunder saying, have a great game.
God bless.